Settle down. Settle down. Look, based on some of the comments on the last video, I've realized that a lot of you aren't watching past the intro. So let me just say this. The worst season so far.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
I'm feeling myself.
Hello and welcome to Binging Last Season, where today's episode is going to be short and sweet. Not because I'm recording this at 2 a.m. on Thursday morning, but because it's going to be difficult to talk about this season without spoiling the whole fucking thing. We're using the MyAnimeList grading scale, we're avoiding major spoilers, and we are not turning this car around, mister. The Hashira training arc of Demon Slayer that aired last season has been getting some flack for being the first time since season 1's training with Urokodaki that Tanjiro hasn't been balls to the wall chasing down a demon. And you might say, well, what about that time in the hospital when they were training their breathing technique? Shut up! Look, Demon Slayer has earned some time off to focus on the backstories of their characters, and they chose the most interesting ones that everybody wants to know about the Hashira, and I, for one, am super interested in learning about this big fucking Buddhist monk and why he's always crying. Why are you so sad? And they haven't forgotten to throw in a few scenes to tantalize your eyeballs, as Ufotable reminds us that they can draw anime that is just pants-shittingly beautiful, proving that if enough weebs throw their money at an IP, they can spend another show's entire budget on this one shot of a floor. Most of the season focuses on having all of the most interesting characters in one place, and I am perfectly okay with that. Speaking of which, Zenitsu is back, and he's more annoying than ever, and it is all planned and intentional, and I am perfectly okay with it. Imagine that, Windbreaker. I talk about pacing a lot in my videos, and you might think with a season like this that I might have some complaints about the pacing, but I don't. See, when I think about pacing and whether or not it's good in a season, I think about whether or not there was an episode that I watched that by the end of it, I thought, I really could have done without that episode. And that episode does not exist in this season of Demon Slayer. There were 8 episodes, they never stayed in one place too long, and there were even moments that I thought they could have spent some more time in that location. I also think Demon Slayer doesn't need to be funny, but I'm glad that it is. Thinking back on a lot of the moments that happened this season, it was funnier than most, and I think at this point, those chibi sprites with the black bead eyeballs, I feel like I've seen those in other series at this point, and I would almost call it like a Demon Slayer trope at this point. I don't know if somebody else did it first, but they are definitely popularizing it, and I think we're going to see it a lot more often. If I have complaints about this season, it really comes down to the highs and lows in the final episode, but I can't fucking talk about it. All I'll say is that it has maybe the best scene of the entire series so far, but I hate the way they cut the episode. I believe there is a cut on the editing room floor of the final episode of this season that I am absolutely in love with, but unfortunately, that is not what aired. And if there is a cheat code for the way I rate things, it is that the ending matters a whole lot to me. I have this at a 9 because I wanted to respect how much I enjoyed this season and the series highs that occurred, but if this is still bothering me a few days later, I think I'd have to put it down to an 8, and I think that's what I would give it on rewatch. If I'm gonna give a season of anything a 9, I need to be basking in the afterglow a couple days later, and right now I'm just thinking about the parts that annoyed me. And this was never gonna get a 10, because as far as I'm concerned, if it's gonna be a 10, I need to be basking in the afterglow, and it needs to be self-contained and fulfilling, and this season most definitely was not self-contained. I know this because if you watch it, you too will be clenching your butthole in anticipation of the follow-up season, which is almost enough for me to say maybe you should wait until the follow-up season airs and then come back and watch this one, but if you do, you will get the absolute shit spoiled out of you. So I cannot in good faith tell you that that's a good idea. So yeah, I gave the Hashira training arc an 8. For context, I gave the premiere season a 9, Mugen Train an 8, the Entertainment District a 9, and Swordsmith Village a 10. At the end of the day, you could say that the Hashira training arc is the worst season of Demon Slayer so far, but that's kind of like being the ugliest guy to fuck a supermodel. That's it for me. I have no idea what I'm going to be doing a video on next week. I've been wanting to talk about Dungeon Meshi and Tsukimichi, and at some point I am going to have to face my demons and jump back into Mushoku Tensei. God fucking help me. Which is almost enough for me to say maybe you should wait until next season airs to come back and watch this one, but if you do, you will get the absolute shit spoiled out of you. So I cannot in good faith say that that's a good idea. No fucking shot.